wishing to break a piece from the Jade Tower and reach the immortals. Yet it's no match for the fleeting smoke of the mortal world. Like the smoke, it reminds you to connect to Wi-Fi. Charge up, for the thrilling content is about to begin. On the day of the wedding photo shoot, my fiancée abandoned me and left. I accidentally saw the message she sent to her ex. I won't marry him. In this life, I will only marry you. Brother First Snow, why don't we postpone the shoot today? Let's reschedule another day. The young shop assistant poured me another cup of tea, cautiously asking. I glanced at the time. It's been an hour. Lishiruo hasn't returned yet. Today was the day we scheduled to take our wedding photos. But just when I was changing into my suit, she said there was an urgent matter at work that she needed to handle, and told me to wait for her. The makeup artists in the shop gathered together. Their eyes toward me were filled with sympathy and pity. It seems even they know. Today, Lishiruo isn't coming back. When she hurriedly took off her wedding dress and left, her phone fell onto the sofa. I saw the chat history between her and her ex. The beast asked her, "Do you not love me anymore?" Lishiruo replied firmly, "The only person I've ever truly acknowledged is you." She spoke with conviction, completely different from the tone she used when she once said to me, "If it's like First Snow, then let's give it a try." The beast was her first love, her perfect man. They were together for 5 years, but ultimately parted ways because of a long-distance relationship, and I am just someone insignificant in her life. Let's continue the shoot, I said. The young shop assistant was stunned. I pointed to the corner where a girl was lazily sitting, wearing a red dress, with long legs. That seemed to have no place to rest. Is she the new model you hired? I asked. Tell your boss, Mr. Yang. I'll cover her fees for this shoot. Double the amount. Yang Wei is my brother, and the owner of this bridal shop. The young shop assistant hesitantly approached her, whispering something to the girl. Then the girl turned to look at me, and in my mind, I couldn't help but curse. Jackpot, just look at that face. And that bought it today's wedding photos will turn out to be amazing. She nodded at the shop assistant. The model was a third-year college student. Her name was Liu Ryan. She was working a part-time job on the weekend, probably just started this gig. She didn't have much experience, but her face and figure were absolutely stunning. The photos were coming out fast. Several times I found myself staring at her beautiful face, completely entranced. I had to force myself to think about the mess Lishiruo left me with. To calm down, I proactively added her on WeChat and transferred her the payment. Thank you, I said. The girl was humble, thanking me back, and even said I could hire her again next time I needed wedding photos. She had such a sweet mouth, with Mr. Yang backing me up. I got the shop assistant to prioritize selecting some of the photos for me, and sent them to me right away. When I got home that evening, I saw a post from the beast on his social media. A bustling street food stall, and the hand of a woman across from him in the photo looked very familiar. The engagement ring on that hand had already been removed, leaving it completely bare. The luckiest thing in life is, the food stall you love is still there, and so is the person you like. I also posted a 9-grid collage of the wedding photos, promising 100 likes would get a free 16-inch photo frame. Come on, friends, please help out. Then my social feed exploded. First Snow, what have you been up to? Lishiruo finally remembered me. She was the first to call, her tone filled with stern questioning. I lay on the sofa, contentedly watching the likes and chaotic comments piling up. The most frequent comments were surprisingly complimenting the model's looks. Wow, who is this gorgeous girl? She's stunning, stunning, absolutely stunning. Beauty really is the most powerful force. Just with her face alone, she instantly overshadowed Lishiruo, my official fiancé, who's not my fiancé anymore. Can't you tell? I had planned this wedding shoot 3 months in advance, specifically asking Yang Jir to reserve the best makeup artist and photographer for today. How did the photos turn out? Pretty good, right? Lee Shiruo fell silent for a moment before speaking again. Her tone much weaker. I didn't mean to. Today something really came up last minute. I didn't intentionally stand you up. Didn't I say we'd pick another time to go? Did you tell me that? I was surprised as I opened her chat, and only then did I realize she had indeed notified me about it an hour ago. At that time, she was probably pouring her heart out to the beast at the food stall. It must have been so hard for her to still remember her fiancé left at the bridal shop during such a sweet moment. Sorry, I just saw it now, she said. I was busy picking out photos at that time. I asked again, so when is this another day you mentioned? In our next life? The line suddenly fell dead silent. I chuckled. People say it's better to break up 10 temples than to break up one marriage. Since you've decided that in this life you'll only marry him, I won't hold you back anymore. Consider it me doing some good deeds for myself. With that, I hung up the phone. Yang Wei's call came right after, and he hit me with a barrage as soon as he opened his mouth. What's going on with your social media post? I hesitated for a moment. Don't tell me you're reluctant to give away the photos. I've already got over 200 likes, and they're still climbing. I saved you a ton of marketing expenses with this. Yang Wei took a deep breath. I heard everything that happened at the shop today. What I'm asking is, you just swapped out a new bride for your wedding photos like that. How are you going to explain this to the elders? I shrug. Shouldn't that be Lee Shiruo's problem? Lee Shiruo and I were colleagues. When we first met, other colleagues mentioned she had just broken up with her first love. A lot of guys at the company were interested in her. After all, in terms of looks and ability, Lee Shiruo was indeed quite impressive. As our work progressed, we started to develop mutual feelings for each other during our interactions. When I confessed, she told me she wanted to start a new relationship and life with me. I thought everything would fall into place naturally, until the day we made our relationship public. A stranger added me on WeChat and only said one sentence: Lee Shiruo is allergic to alcohol. Please make sure she doesn't drink. Then I knew it was her ex, the beast. Just one sentence from him could make Lee Shiruo abandon everything and run back to him. Yang Wei thought about it and agreed. Her parents are both teachers. This must have been a huge blow to their reputation, right? Not my problem, I said. In the comment section, some people who didn't know the situation between me and Lee Shiruo were excitedly praising. Wow, that figure. That face, doesn't the girl look a lot like? Followed by a mischievous grin emoji. I was in a good mood, recalling the shooting process, and sincerely replied, of course. She's young after all. Great figure. A Princess Carrie was effortless. As soon as I posted it, I felt something was off about what I said. I was about to delete it when I saw that Liu Ryan had already liked the post. Oh no, how could I forget? I added her on WeChat too. She shouldn't have been able to see that, right? Thinking this, I still guiltily hit the delete button. Forgive me, I thought. She's only 20 years old, not suitable for such conversations. When I walked into the office on Monday, I became the center of attention. I couldn't blame them for gossiping. The problem was, Lee Shiruo and I are still colleagues. When we bumped into each other in the hallway, she didn't look too happy. She looked much more haggard. Probably spent the entire weekend explaining the canceled wedding to her parents. In the middle of all this, her parents called me. I simply said I don't want to hold her back. And then my parents snatched the phone, harshly scolding Lee Shiruo. After that, they didn't call again. In the past, Lee Shiruo and the beast were already at the point of discussing marriage. She even took him home to meet her parents, so they were aware of his existence. It wasn't hard for them to guess what was going on this time. When she saw me, her eyes brightened for a moment. She quickly walked over. First, no, let's talk. I waved the documents in my hand, smiling politely. Sorry, I'm a bit busy during work hours. If you need anything, just send me a message. I had already deleted her from WeChat. Lee Shiruo's expression instantly dimmed. She frowned, looking utterly exhausted. Do we really have to be like this? She asked. I know what I did before was wrong, but those words were really just said in a moment of impulse. Please forgive me this once. The hotel is already booked. The invitations have been sent out. How am I supposed to explain this to our relatives and friends? Now you're thinking about all that. If there's nothing else, I'll be going. I couldn't be bothered to listen to her long-winded explanations, so I turned and left. Lee Shiruo finally lost her patience. Her tone turned frustrated and annoyed, and she grabbed my hand to stop me. She frowned and asked, "What more do you want?" Yes, those words hurt you. And you even posted wedding photos with someone else on social media. Didn't you first know? You did it on purpose to upset me. Who said I did it on purpose to upset you? I cut her off. Lee Shiruo laughed as if she'd heard a joke. Isn't that exactly what you did? How long have you even known her? 3 days, maybe? I have to admit, the overlap between our social circles is really annoying. You've seen those photos, haven't you? Do you think it's hard to fall for someone like that? I countered, just like how giving up on someone can happen in a split second too. Lee Shiruo was left speechless. Suddenly, my phone rang, taking the chance while answering it. I quickly pulled my hand out of Lee Shiruo's grasp. Hello, a cheerful and lively voice came from the other end. First, no, there's a college reunion tomorrow night. Same old place, are you coming? It was my college roommate, now Aoshin. I immediately agreed. He chuckled. Alright, but let's be clear. You gotta bring a +1. How about you bring that pretty girl and show her off to us? Of course, this was Jiahaya, always the most interested in these things. Lee Shiruo was standing right next to me, probably catching bits and pieces of the conversation. In a moment of impulsiveness, I blurted out, sure. I agreed readily. But as soon as I came back to my senses, I started regretting it. My connection with Liu Ryan is purely based on me spending money. Now I've bragged so much. How am I supposed to get out of this? I spent a long time fretting over it. Bracing myself, I contacted Liu Ryan. Liu Ryan, do you have time tomorrow night? After a while, she replied, brother, is there a new photo shoot task? No, it's a different kind of side job. I want to hire you to pretend to be my girlfriend. I'll pay by the hour. What do you think? There was a pause on my end. Liu Ryan thought about it for a moment, and finally agreed. She said, and I let out a sigh of relief. If this helps get Lee Shiruo completely out of my life, then I'm more than willing to spend the money for this little act. I promptly transferred her half the payment. This is the deposit. The rest will be settled after tomorrow. Thank you, Ryan. The reunion was set at a bar. After work, I drove to Liu Ryan's school to pick her up. It's hard enough for her working part-time, so I made sure to cover her travel expenses. When I saw her, I couldn't help but be taken aback again. Today, Liu Ryan was wearing a pleated skirt, black knee-high socks, shiny little leather shoes with her long black hair cascading down, her flawless features and delicate face. Just by standing there, she had already won. Everyone we'll be meeting later are my college classmates, and I get along well with them, so there's no need to be nervous. I reassured her. Liu Ryan smiled sweetly, nodding obediently. Brother, such a good girl, I thought, feeling more at ease. However, that good mood evaporated the moment we arrived at the bar, and I saw Lee Shiruo. Why can't this person just disappear? When she saw me, Lee Shiruo walked over as well. First, no, her eyes then fell on Liu Ryan, and she looked absolutely stunned. She then let out a laugh. Don't you think you're being childish doing all this? I instantly felt a surge of anger rise up inside me. But before I could say anything, Liu Ryan suddenly squeezed my hand tightly. She bit her lip and looked somewhat aggrieved. Brother, did you bring me here Just to make her jealous? Wow, I didn't expect her acting to be this good. I leaned in close to her ear, whispering in a voice just loud enough for Lee Shiruo to hear. Of course not, I only like you. The dim bar lighting still clearly showed the sudden change in Lee Shiruo's expression. At that moment, her phone suddenly lit up. She glanced at it quickly, and I caught a glimpse of the name Beast on the screen. But Lee Shiruo actually ignored the call and looked back up at me. First Snow, stop this nonsense. Do you really want everyone to laugh at us? Let's talk this out properly when we get back, okay? Before I could respond, Liu Ryan suddenly stepped forward, standing between us. Brother already said he doesn't want to go with you. Can't you understand? Lee Shiruo pointed at her, anger flaring. What does this have to do with you? This is between us. It's none of your business. Lee Shiruo, what are you doing? My anger flared up even more, reminding myself that we have nothing to do with each other anymore. What right do you have to boss him around? Liu Ryan half-turned, then leaned into my arms, softly urging, let's just go, brother. Brother, don't be angry because of me. I'm fine, really. Lee Shiruo was utterly furious by now, and her phone started ringing persistently again. What's going on here? The commotion caught the attention of quite a few people. Now Aoshin squeezed through the crowd with a few friends. When they saw Liu Ryan, their eyes visibly brightened several notches. Only after getting a good look at her did they bother acknowledging Lee Shiruo. Oh, the fairy Lee is here too? Not dining with your perfect guy at the street food stall today? Lee Shiruo's face froze. I must admit, now Aoshin's sarcastic tone is unmatched. He's a master of hitting people where it hurts. With just one sentence, he completely silenced Lee Shiruo. She eventually decided to leave. As she walked away, I overheard her answering the call, whispering something to the beast. I was just with a client. Didn't hear the call, I'll be back soon. This woman is something else. I wonder what she's thinking. Not caring about you while she was with you. But now that you've broken up, she's clinging on relentlessly. While Liu Ryan went to the restroom, now Aoshin sidled up next to me and started interrogating me. I thought about it and said, she probably only likes her ex. Now that I'm the ex, this is what happens. Who cares, you've got a little sister now. He smirked. She's beautiful and fresh. Way better than that green tea. Now Aoshin gave me a playful wink at this, and added with a sly grin. Seriously, with looks like hers. She's a rare find. I know so many girls, but none of them come close to being as pretty as yours. He lowered his voice excitedly and asked, so how was it? Is she really as amazing as she seems? Come on, give me the details. My face flushed instantly as I accidentally lifted my gaze. I caught sight of Liu Ryan walking back towards us. My heart skipped a beat. I really hope she didn't hear that. I quickly pinched Now Aoshin to shut him up. What's there to say? I muttered. Now Aoshin's eyes widened. Weren't you the one who said it last time? You started by praising her waist. Liu Ryan suddenly stopped in her tracks. The ride back was unusually silent. In the end, I finally had to bite the bullet and explain. Oh, Ryan, don't get the wrong idea, okay? What I meant was during the wedding photo shoot, I noticed your posture and balance were really good. There's nothing else to it. Liu Ryan turned to look at me. Her eyelashes fluttered lightly. Her gaze was clear and innocent. Guilt washed over me. She's just doing her job sincerely. And here I am thinking about all these inappropriate things. Liu Ryan softly said, I understand, brother. My heart sank instantly. She knows. She's probably figured out what a pervert I am. By the time I parked the car at her school entrance, it was already completely dark outside. As she was about to get out, I quickly called out, Ryan. She paused in her movements and looked back at me. Her eyes seemed to brighten slightly. I cleared my throat awkwardly. Thank you for today. If you ever need help with anything, don't hesitate to ask. For a moment, her eyes seemed to dim. but it was only for a brief second, so quick that it felt like an illusion. Her lips curved into a slight smile. It's nothing as long as you need me, brother. I'll do whatever you ask. My heart started pounding erratically. A face so young and beautiful, with such clear and innocent eyes, paired with such subtly suggestive words. Who could resist that? I quickly averted my gaze, forcing a smile and nodding. Of course, just kidding. Can't let things get too serious with you, Ryan. That would be completely irresponsible. Liu Ryan's smile faded slightly, her lips pressing into a thin line. I pretended not to notice, waving cheerfully. Goodbye, Ryan. The moment she stepped out of the car, the space inside felt so much more spacious. The strange tension and heat in the air dissipated by a large degree. Just as I was about to start the car and drive away, I suddenly heard a lively greeting not far away. I caught someone calling out Liu Ryan's name. Instinctively, I turned my head to look. 4 or 5 young boys and girls who seemed to have just returned to campus were coincidentally bumping into Liu Ryan. Ryan, coming back this late? One of the girls asked loudly, curiously glancing in my direction as she spoke. What was so important? That you had to ditch our plans for it? Didn't you say you were free tonight, Ryan? So she had turned down plans with friends for this? Liu Ryan replied calmly, her back facing me, her voice cool and clear. There was suddenly an added touch of reserved, cool elegance in her demeanor. How should I put it? It was completely different from the sweet, obedient look she had when facing me. Turns out, they even call her sister Yen in her circle. It seems this little girl is quite impressive in her own crowd. After thinking for a moment, I rolled down the car window and waved at them with a smile. Hey there! The girl who had been asking questions earlier froze when she saw me. Her casual demeanor from before completely disappeared, replaced by awkward shyness. Ryan, is this your brother? A crisp male voice suddenly cut in. The speaker was a boy dressed in athletic wear, handsome with bright eyes filled with curiosity. I immediately understood. He likes Liu Ryan. His gaze made it more than obvious. I was about to nod, but Liu Ryan quickly spoke up first. No, he's my boyfriend. The moment those words left her mouth, the atmosphere froze. Everyone around was stunned. Their expressions shifted as they looked at Liu Ryan. Whoa, Sister Yan, when did you get yourself such a handsome boyfriend? You hid this way too well. Seriously, who would have thought our school's beauty, who spends most of her time in the lab, library, or cafeteria, would quietly make such a big move? I was shocked, and when I looked up, I met Liu Ryan's earnest gaze as she turned back towards me. I get it now, this little girl is using me as a shield. Alright then. I blinked and gave her a playful smile. I signaled that I would fully cooperate. After all, I did say I would help her with whatever she needed just a moment ago. And here we are. If the guys at her school find out about this, there might just be an earthquake. Another girl started to say something, then suddenly stopped mid-sentence, sneaking a glance at the handsome guy. His expression had frozen the moment he heard Liu Ryan's words. It seems his crush on Liu Ryan is an open secret, but Liu Ryan didn't seem to care. She leaned slightly towards me and said softly, "Snow, snow. Take care on the way back." My heart skipped a beat. Besides my parents, no one has ever called me that. It actually sounded just like how a gentle and caring girlfriend would speak. I quickly pulled myself together, nodded in perfect cooperation. Alright, Ryan. Liu Ryan's eyes flickered for a moment, and she turned her head away first. Only then did she respond softly. Under the night sky, it seemed her ears had turned slightly red. I waved goodbye to her friends, then finally drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw the girls crowding around her, talking animatedly while glancing in my direction. The boy trailed behind them, keeping a small distance. His head hung low, while the girl next to him seemed to be consoling him quietly. I couldn't help but feel a bit melancholic. With a girl like Ryan, It's no surprise. She's very popular at school. After that night at the bar, Lee Shiruo never contacted me privately again. We've gone back to being just ordinary colleagues. So when I received the wedding invitation from Lee Shiruo and the Beast, I was genuinely surprised. Whoa, they actually invited you. Yang Wei jumped up from his seat, staring at me in disbelief. I tossed the invitation over to him. Apparently, she even personally wrote my name on it. It'd be pretty rude not to show up. Yang Wei examined the invitation for a long time. It's the same hotel you guys booked before. The exact same banquet hall. And even on the same date. She's rubbing it in your face. She didn't even bother changing anything before inviting you. This is pure provocation. I shrug. That hotel's hard to book. You gotta understand him? He should be the one trying to understand you. Don't tell me he doesn't know. That day was when you and Lee Shiruo had planned to take your wedding photos. How convenient that he just happened to come back that very day. I don't want to dwell on the past, I said, brushing it off. It's bad enough luck as it is, but there's something even worse. I sighed deeply. It's not just weird that she invited me. The crazy part is, Lee Shiruo also invited Liu Ryan. Yang Wei's eyes widened in shock, muttering, "Are these two completely out of their minds?" I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache coming on. Maybe, but the real issue now is, how do I even explain this to Liu Ryan? It's one thing to ask her to pretend to be my girlfriend, but taking her to my ex's wedding? That's a level of awkwardness I can't even begin to imagine. Why don't you just refuse the invitation? You could sit with your colleagues or something. I was still talking when my phone suddenly started ringing. It was an unknown number. I answered it. It was Lee Shiruo's voice on the other end. Her speech was slurred, sounding drunk, as if she had had quite a bit to drink. "First, no, I really miss you." I held the phone away from my ear and rubbed it as if trying to clear out the nonsense. "Lee Shiruo, your wedding invitation is still in my hand. Can you sober up a little? What's the point of pretending to be all sentimental now?" It seemed like she heard me, or maybe she didn't. Her tone suddenly grew more agitated. "I am sober. First, no, I've never been more clear-headed than I am right now. I really miss you. These days, being with him. I thought everything would be like it was before, but it's nothing like that. I miss you so much, I really do." Her voice was filled with pain. "Don't ignore me. Don't be with someone else. I'm sure now that it's you I care about. First, no, give me another chance. Let's start over. Please." I couldn't help but laugh and asked softly, "Lee Shiruo, are you addicted to this kind of game? Once wasn't enough, so you want a second round?" Silence fell on the other end, just as I was about to hang up. A man's voice came through the line. "First, no, it's me." It was the Beast's voice, though I've never formally met him. While I was with Lee Shiruo, I had overheard their phone conversations more than once, so I recognized him immediately. "Lee Shiruo is drunk. I apologize," he said, seemingly stepping aside as he spoke. When he spoke again, his voice was lower, the previous gentle tone completely replaced by anger and resentment. "First, no. Do you find it amusing to get tangled up with someone else's fiancé?" I almost thought I'd heard wrong, but when I realized what he said, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Beast, isn't that a question you should be asking yourself?" He let out a cold laugh. "I'm not like you. I was with Lee Shiruo for 5 years. The person she truly loves is me and only me. You were just the compromise she made to please her family. Well, that's just great. Being loved by someone like Lee Shiruo would be a headache for me. So here's wishing you to stay locked together forever and ever." Beast angrily hung up the phone. Yang Wei leaned in curiously. "So, are you still going to the wedding?" "Of course I'm going." They went out of their way to sincerely invite me to witness their happiness. How could I refuse? I replied while getting ready to message Liu Ryan. Yang Wei suddenly suggested, "Hey, Ryan seems pretty busy lately. Why not just give her a call? I asked curiously. Busy with what? Not sure, but it sounds like she's preparing for some kind of dance competition. I overheard people at the shop talking about it. Yang Wei shrugged, half amused, half sympathetic. It's a shame, too. Because of that, she hasn't taken on any photo shoots recently. He shot me a slightly jealous glance. And to think, the only proper wedding photos she's ever done were with you. It's like the model I hired became your personal exclusive. There was something odd about how that sounded. But for some reason, my previously bad mood lightened considerably because of that comment. What can I say? She's just exceptional. Not much I can do about it. I dialed Liu Ryan's number and told her about the situation. She confirmed the date for next Saturday. I quickly added, yes, that's right. But if you're busy, it's totally fine. You should focus on your own things first. There was a hint of surprise in her voice. Brother, how did you know I've been busy lately? I overheard some people at the shop mentioning it. I replied. Liu Ryan knows that Yang Wei and I are close friends. She paused for a moment, then broke the slight tension with a laugh and agreed. My competition ends next Friday, so it won't be a problem. I breathed a sigh of relief. Great, I'll pick you up then. No need, Liu Ryan responded. I know where the hotel is. I'll just meet you there directly. I smiled and thanked her, then hung up the phone. As soon as I looked up, I saw Yang Wei pinching his nose. Do you smell that? Smell what? I asked, confused. The stench of love, he teased. I kicked him playfully. Stop talking nonsense, she's just a kid. If I really made a move, wouldn't I be less than human? Yang Wei gasped dramatically, as if in shock, leading her on without commitment. Isn't that exactly what a player does? He sighed deeply. Even if I were a girl, that smile you gave just now would have made me think you were really into me. So how could a smart girl like Ryan not pick up on it? Okay, I get it, I said. I'll be more careful next time. Yang Wei's expression turned to one of utter despair as he looked at me. Just go grow old alone, Yang Wei grumbled. At the wedding, I sat with a few colleagues at one table. When I heard some snide remarks coming from behind us, I can't believe he actually had the nerve to show up. What can you do? Some people just have thick skin, probably still holding onto some unresolved feelings. But love isn't something you can force. Li Shiruo just loves the beast, plain and simple. But it's good she came. Seeing it with her own eyes should help her finally let go. I turned around and saw that it was a few girls at the neighboring table, the bride's friends. I said clearly, you seem to be unaware that I'm the one who dumped the bride. Besides, my current girlfriend is way prettier than Li Shiruo. The girls immediately fell silent, the atmosphere turning painfully awkward. I pointed at the couple on stage exchanging vows. Decorations, I picked those out. Pretty nice, right? But honestly, the bride really should have updated things. The groom's different now, so why keep everything else the same? The girls' expressions soured even more. One of them suddenly shot back sarcastically. Does it even matter? The most important thing is the people involved. Who would marry someone they don't love? After all, a forced relationship is never sweet. I nodded in agreement. Exactly. If I were the one standing up there today, I can't even imagine how much I'd regret it. Thank goodness. I'll let the beast enjoy that blessing instead. The girls looked like they'd swallowed something bitter, turning their backs on me, deciding not to engage anymore. After a while, Li Shiruo and the beast came over to offer a toast. That's when I noticed ... Li Shiruo had dark circles under her eyes, and there was no trace of the joy you'd expect from a newlywed. She looked more like she was attending a funeral. I raised my glass along with my colleagues and said, Li Shiruo stared at the glass in my hand, but she didn't take a sip from hers. She bit her lip and suddenly asked, your girlfriend didn't come with you, did she? Her tone wasn't exactly pleasant. The air grew tense as everyone around us fell silent. The beast tugged at her gently. Speaking softly, She must be busy. I heard she's still in her 3rd year of university and usually works part-time. It surprised me that the Beast had gone out of his way to learn about Liu Ryan. He's back with Lee Shiruo. So why is he still so focused on me? Isn't he tired? The girls from the neighboring table, who had been gossiping earlier, seemed to have caught wind of the conversation. They snickered like they'd just heard a joke. A junior in college working part-time? So she's just a poor student. All this fuss and that's it? Relationships like that rarely last. You're into her youth and she's into your money. Do you really think you're some kind of superstar that everyone's in love with? My expression darkened, and I was about to retort when a familiar voice called out from behind me, "First no." I instinctively turned around and saw Liu Ryan walking over with her long legs and graceful stride. She had changed into a formal dress today, which perfectly accentuated her curves as she moved. With her full chest and long legs, she was breathtakingly beautiful. Everyone's eyes were naturally drawn to her as she approached. Some of the younger guys had already turned red, their eyes glued to her. Liu Ryan came to stand beside me, naturally tilting her head up slightly, smiling warmly at me. My flight was delayed. Sorry I'm late. First no, don't be mad. With looks like that, who could possibly resist? I quickly shook my head. No, not at all. If your flight was delayed, why didn't you just tell me? This wedding isn't really that important. You didn't need to go through all that trouble just to come. Lee Shiruo's expression turned stiff, and the Beast could barely keep his forced smile in place. Liu Ryan shook her head. Nothing is more important than you. Even though I knew she said it on purpose, in front of everyone, meeting her clear gaze, my heart still skipped a beat. What can I say? That kind of beauty is a killer move. I couldn't help but whisper. But it must have been exhausting for you. Liu Ryan chuckled softly. It's fine. I came back on my 3rd uncle's private jet. My eyes widened in shock, and the crowd around us fell completely silent. Liu Ryan pointed upward casually. He happened to be coming back, so I just came along with him. By the way, I think there's a private helipad on the top floor of this hotel. Isn't this building owned by your 3rd uncle? I asked in a daze. The top of this hotel? Wait, is this entire building his? The Beast gripped his wine glass so tightly his knuckles turned white, struggling to keep his composure, barely managing a strained smile. That's impossible. I thought the owner of this building is someone named Liu. Isn't your 3rd uncle's last name Liu? How could it be related to Liu? This building isn't actually my 3rd uncle's, Liu Ryan said. The Beast visibly relaxed. But in the very next moment, Liu Ryan continued, "It's my dad's. As for why they don't share the same surname, one follows my grandpa's surname, and the other follows my grandma's." The expressions on the faces of the Beast and his group of friends were priceless. My colleagues were furiously giving me looks like, you really found yourself a girl who's not just drop-dead gorgeous, but also a pure rich 2nd gen? How could I explain it? I only learned this myself today, Lee Shiruo suddenly said. First no, you're not good with alcohol. Why don't you have some juice instead? The Beast whipped his head around to stare at her, his face turning slightly green for a moment. People nearby exchanged puzzled glances, and I almost rolled my eyes so hard they could have popped out. Seriously, Lee Shiruo? You're saying this in front of your new groom about your ex? Aren't you afraid of divine retribution? But before I could even refuse, Liu Ryan took the wine glass from my hand. We sincerely wish you both happiness, she said with a slight smile. And as his girlfriend, of course, I should be the one to drink on his behalf. She brought the glass to her lips and downed it in one go. Then, as if something just came to mind, she smiled again and added, "Oh, and by the way, even though this building isn't owned by my 3rd uncle, this hotel is. As a gesture of our sincerity, today's venue and drink expenses will be discounted by 10%, and if you have another wedding in the future, we'll give you 20% off." Before the wedding even ended, I left with Liu Ryan. What you said just now, was that all true? Even though I already believed it in my heart, I couldn't help but ask again. Liu Ryan nodded seriously. Of course it's true. No matter who they marry in the future, they can both enjoy an 8% discount. I lightly smacked her arm. I'm being serious here. If your family is this wealthy, why do you still work part-time? Liu Ryan looked at me, her eyes drooping slightly at the corners, making her look extra adorable. Brother, I want to make a living off my looks, she said playfully. I couldn't help but laugh. Actually, it's a bit of a misunderstanding. Sister Jo mentioned her shop was short of a model, and they couldn't find anyone suitable at the last minute. So she asked if I could fill in. I agreed, but the other model they planned to work with had something come up that day, so the shoot got cancelled. And that's when I unexpectedly met you. By the way, Sister Jo is actually Yang Wei's wife. She's super busy. After handing the shop over to Yang Wei, she hardly stops by even once every couple of weeks. No wonder, I murmured, glancing at her face again. I couldn't help but silently think to myself, well, she definitely has what it takes to make a living as a model, if she ever wanted to. But this kid is really humble. You'd never guess it just by looking at her. That explains it. But still, thanks for helping me out today. Not only that, you even helped me get some sweet revenge. I smiled and patted her head. Come on, let's get you back to school. Liu Ryan suddenly said, how about I drive instead? I looked her up and down, then smiled and tossed her the keys. Alright, so even kids have their pride, huh? Liu Ryan gave me a quiet glance, her dark eyes deep and unreadable. I suddenly felt like this conversation was taking an unexpected turn. Her lips parted slightly, as if she wanted to say something more. I quickly cleared my throat. Okay, you're not the kid, I am, okay? Now, please, Sister Yan, be my chauffeur this time, I said, avoiding her gaze, and opened the passenger door, taking my seat. Then we both suddenly remembered that Liu Ryan had just had some alcohol, so I ended up driving instead. A few moments later, the car was on the move. The silence in the car felt heavy. I couldn't stand the awkwardness, so I started a conversation. By the way, I didn't ask you earlier, how did the competition go? Liu Ryan responded, I won the gold medal. I was shocked. Seriously, you're that good? After I found out she was competing, I actually looked it up. It's the National College Student Dance Championship, held every 2 years, and it's highly prestigious. Only the top talents from across the country participate, and she brought home the gold? Liu Ryan chuckled at my reaction. It wasn't that hard. The competition wasn't as strong this year. You're way too modest, I said, giving her a thumbs up. Forget everything else. Just having that on your resume sets you apart from almost everyone your age. No wonder your classmates all call you Sister Yan. You must have a lot of admirers at your school, Liu Ryan suddenly said. But I don't like any of them. I was momentarily speechless. It was clear that Liu Ryan hadn't finished her sentence, but I was too afraid to hear what she might say next. My heart started racing, a strange sense of panic creeping in. I quickly spoke up first. The corner up ahead. You can stop there, Liu Ryan. It's still a block away from the school. It'd be awkward if your classmates saw us. I cut her off mid-sentence, pretending not to notice. The moment of surprise in her eyes. She smiled faintly, though her expression was clearly strained. You don't need to worry about that. Avoiding misunderstandings and ruining your chances with someone else. That's what would be a shame. Now that Li Shiruo and the Beast are married, it feels like there's no need for her to keep pretending to be my girlfriend anymore. Liu Ryan's voice suddenly tightened, as if she was struggling to hold something back. The atmosphere in the car, once light and easy, turned cold and tense in an instant. Taking a deep breath, I hardened my resolve. Right, we haven't settled up yet, have we? Let me transfer the payment to you now. First, no, Liu Ryan called me by my full name for the first time. My hand trembled slightly as I held my phone. I knew how ridiculous I sounded. Liu Ryan doesn't need this money. She rushed back despite everything. Simply because she promised me, not wanting me to face that wedding alone, awkward and humiliated. But Liu Ryan, we're not a good match. I heard my own voice, calm and composed. As I opened the door and stepped out of the car, Liu Ryan immediately followed, pushing open her door, rushing around the front of the car, and quickly stepping in front of me. Just as I was about to walk away, she grabbed my wrist, her gaze locked intensely on mine. I don't believe you feel nothing for me. I looked at her, gently lifting her chin with my fingers, and leaned down to kiss her. Liu Ryan froze completely, but only for a moment. She quickly regained her senses, wrapping her arms around my waist. Even through my clothes, I could feel the warmth radiating from her young body. Her grip tightened, holding onto my waist with a fervent intensity. That warmth spread through me, almost melting me. Our breaths mingled, and it became hard to breathe. I don't know how long it lasted, but she finally let go, burying her face in my chest. Her soft hair brushed lightly against my face, tickling slightly. Her breathing was quick and unsteady. You're so warm, her voice trembled. Brother, you do like me, don't you? I stroked her silky hair. Is that enough? Liu Ryan pulled back slightly, looking at me in disbelief. Her voice quivered. What? I smiled at her. I tested it. I really don't feel anything for you. But if this makes you happy, then I don't mind. She opened her mouth to say something, but no words came out. I leaned closer, laughing softly. Or do you need more? Before you agree to stop bothering me? The way Liu Ryan looked at me, it was like she was staring at a stranger she had never known. She abruptly let go of my hand, turned around and walked away. Her back seemed a bit unsteady, but she didn't look back. You're out of your mind. That girl really liked you, and you just trampled all over her feelings like that. You're such a jerk. You're a beast, Yang Wei yelled at me from the other end of the phone. I pressed my fingers to my temples. What else could I do? I'm 4 years older than her. We're incompatible in so many ways. If we got together just for a bit of fun, wouldn't that make me even more of a jerk? Yang Wei was speechless. Are you so sure you couldn't have made it work? You think age is an issue, but that girl definitely didn't see it that way. He finally concluded. The only thing we know for sure is that you broke her heart. You hurt her, plain and simple. I felt a pang of guilt, but what's done is done. There's no room for regrets now. After that day, Liu Ryan and I completely lost contact. Life seemed to return to its usual routine. I didn't expect to hear that Li Shiruo had resigned. A few colleagues huddled together, whispering in hushed tones. Why did she quit? Wasn't she doing fine? Maybe her husband didn't want her working at the same company as First Snow. I raised my hand in exasperation. Can you guys be a little more discreet? I'm right here, you know? Nope, she's divorced now. I heard that right after the wedding ended. She and the beast had a huge fight. Even smashed the hotel doors. She lost face completely and filed for divorce on the spot. Everyone turned to look at me in unison, and I was just as shocked. I left early that day. How would I know about any of this? Come on, what's there to hide? Women, you know, they're always torn between what they have and what they think they could have. And besides ... When he stole someone else's fiancée, he should have been prepared for someone else to take her from him. What comes around, right? Didn't you see how out of it he looked at the wedding? First Snow, he probably still has feelings for you. I quickly cut in. Don't say things like that, it's bad luck. Everyone burst out laughing. Come on, First Snow's current girl is way better. Li Shiruo can't even compare. For some reason, I found myself opening the forum from Liu Ryan's school with someone as popular as her. There had to be a lot of posts about her, right? But what I found wasn't what I expected. Sure enough, her name was on the homepage. But why was I mentioned too? Campus Queen Liu dumped by hot guy. Even beauties get rejected? Shocked, I clicked in and saw a picture. It was from the last time Liu Ryan and I met. In the photo, she stood in front of me, head slightly bowed, reaching out cautiously, as if trying to grab hold of me. I was leaning against the car, head turned to the side, looking like I was smiling, but with a detached, indifferent expression. Anyone who saw it would think I was the heartless one who dumped the sweet girl. Wow, Liu Ryan, someone so proud, actually has such a vulnerable side. Man, this guy's heart is too cold. If it were me, I'd never be able to treat such a beautiful girl like that. That's nothing. That guy isn't just anyone. He was engaged before. He almost got married. In the end, someone else swooped in and stole her away, so he turned to Liu Ryan for comfort. It was purely for fun. How could he possibly outplay her? As soon as this anonymous comment was posted, the whole place exploded in chaos. My brow twitched. Before I could even get angry, I saw another comment right below. Now that I think about it, he did get into an accident on the day they broke up. Was he so heartbroken that he accidentally got into a crash? My heart sank instantly. Liu Ryan was in an accident, and it happened that very day. I couldn't read any more of the comments. My mind was a mess. How could this happen? Doesn't this make me the one to blame? How is he doing now? Panicked, I opened Liu Ryan's WeChat, but messaging felt too slow. So I figured calling would be better. Yet before I dialed, I hesitated again. What role am I even playing in calling him now? I was the one who told him to stop bothering me. Forget it, whatever. I gritted my teeth and rushed straight to my boss's office to ask for leave. I dashed out of the company in a frenzy, heading directly to his school. I remembered people on the forum saying, "He's back attending classes now." But when I arrived at his school, it hit me. I had no idea where he is exactly. In the end, I had to ask around, and finally found my way to his dormitory. I ended up waiting there all afternoon, several times. I almost called him directly, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I could only keep convincing myself over and over in my heart, I'm just here to check on his condition. As long as he's okay, I can finally be at ease. As dusk began to fall, students started returning one after another, but I still didn't see that familiar figure. A girl stopped in front of me. Surprised, Gauge? I was momentarily stunned, then realized she was the friend of Liu Ryan, the one I saw at the school gate that night. Hello, I have something I need to discuss with Liu Ryan. Is he here? The girl's expression suddenly turned a bit awkward. He was asked out today by Ji Boxiao. He might be back very late. Ji Boxiao was that guy who secretly had a crush on Liu Ryan. In that moment, I couldn't quite decipher how I felt inside. It was like a lump of damp cotton stuffing my chest, clogged and heavy. The girl scratched her head. Maybe I should give him a call? No need, I forced a smile. It's nothing important, really. If she's well enough to go out and have fun with a guy, that probably means her health isn't too bad, right? I said my goodbyes to her and turned to leave. Now, all I wanted was to get out of there as quickly as possible. But as soon as I rounded the corner, I ran into a graceful figure. It was Liu Ryan leaning on a crutch with one hand, and standing beside her was a guy, carefully supporting her, looking very close. In that instant, I felt a pang of regret. I shouldn't have come. I never knew until now just how deeply it would cut, seeing her so close with another guy. An unbearable bitterness welled up inside me, suddenly as if sensing something. Liu Ryan lifted her gaze and looked over. Almost instinctively, I quickly hid behind a nearby tree. Liu Ryan shifted her attention back. Tog Boxiao, who was standing beside her. Her voice was cold. I'll say this one last time. Let go. Ji Boxiao had his back turned to me, so I couldn't see his expression, but his voice sounded pitiful. I'm just worried about you. I was stunned. Their conversation didn't sound like one between lovers. Liu Ryan took a step back, shaking off his hand. Even though she was injured now, her aloof aura still kept people at a distance. I think I've made myself clear enough. Liu Ryan said, I don't like you. Ji Boxiao was silent for a moment, then suddenly asked, what kind of person do you like then? Someone like him? It was like an instinctive realization. I immediately knew he was talking about me. Liu Ryan's voice remained indifferent. That has nothing to do with you. Ji Boxiao's emotions flared up. He's so much older than you, and he almost got married to someone else. What's so great about him that makes you feel this way? You're hurt, and he couldn't even be bothered to visit you. He doesn't care about you at all. Liu Ryan suddenly interrupted him. Her voice, I see. How do you know all this? Ji Boxiao's words came to an abrupt halt. In that instant, Liu Ryan's tone turned certain. The rumors on the forum were spread by you, weren't they? It suddenly dawned on me. Of course, among his classmates, only a handful had ever seen me, and those who could dig up such details and post comments like that were easy to guess. Ji Boxiao's voice trembled, almost on the verge of tears, as he shouted, so what if I did? Am I not telling the truth, Liu Ryan? Can't you wake up a little? He's just toying with you. What does he take you for? Of course, as his girlfriend. I stepped forward, finishing his sentence. Ji Boxiao turned around, shocked to see me. Liu Ryan's eyes also fell on me, cold and distant. I walked up to him, glancing at his leg first. Why is it still swollen? Does it still hurt? Liu Ryan pressed her lips together. It doesn't hurt. He didn't answer my first question, but from his sulky demeanor, it seemed like he was really okay. I felt a bit of relief inside. And only then did I turn to Ji Boxiao. Little brother, didn't anyone tell you not to spread rumors so carelessly? Ji Boxiao's face alternated between red and white, probably not expecting to get caught bad-mouthing someone like this. Thanks for caring about Liu Ryan. But when it comes to relationships, it's like drinking water. Only the person drinking knows if it's warm or cold. This is our first time having a quarrel, and even though I'm inexperienced, we don't need an outsider's advice. I took out my phone. What's your Alipay account? I'll transfer you a fee for taking care of her this afternoon. Ji Boxiao glared at me angrily, before turning and storming off. I could feel Liu Ryan's gaze behind me, impossible to ignore. I sighed softly, then turned back too. Look at her. You're injured, yet you still won't just stay in bed and rest properly. You want to go out and have fun. Is there really no other time for that? I didn't plan to meet him, Liu Ryan blurted out, only realizing afterward that her words sounded like she was probing. She quickly turned her head to the side. I just wanted to confirm whether it was him behind the forum rumors. She lowered her voice. I don't care what they say about me, but they absolutely cannot speak ill of you. I felt a part of my heart crumble from within. Young love is always so intense, honest, straightforward, and pure. I took a step forward, leaning down and scooping her up in a princess carry. Does it really not hurt anymore? I asked softly. A car ran a red light back then, and I got brushed by it. It's not serious. Liu Ryan paused briefly. And it has nothing to do with you. You don't have to feel guilty about it. She had already guessed why I came today. Almost immediately. I nodded. That's good. Liu Ryan's expression stiffened, her eyes darkened, and her jaw tightened. Then you can leave now. Before she could finish speaking, I leaned down and kissed the corner of her lips. Liu Ryan was startled, a hint of disbelief flashing in her eyes. Her body instantly went rigid. Her voice softened. What do you mean by this? She stared at me intently, waiting for an answer. I blinked. Didn't you ask if I have feelings for you? If I'm unsure, I'll just have to try again. Liu Ryan's Adam's apple bobbed slightly. So, have you figured it out now? If you're still not sure, do you want to try again? Her entire body was heating up. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Can I really?" Liu Ryan's breathing grew heavier, but she still obediently nodded. "However you want it, it's up to you." My heart melted instantly into a puddle. I lightly touched his ear. "Then listen carefully. Liu Ryan, there's no need to test it. I already know that I like you." All of my worries disappeared the moment I saw him. I couldn't believe it took me this long to realize that after just a short time apart, I missed him this much. Feelings, they're never under control. For him and for me, it's the same. In the next second, Liu Ryan cupped my face and kissed me. I kept holding him in the princess carry, not daring to move too much. "Liu Ryan, are you a puppy or something? Why are you biting so hard?" Liu Ryan pressed his forehead against mine, his gaze bright, blazing like sunlight. I just wanted to make sure this wasn't a dream. I looked at him tenderly. "If you don't want to aggravate your injury, it's best to stop now." Liu Ryan's face flushed instantly, burying himself in my shoulder and responding with a pitiful little sound. How could anyone not fall for this side of Liu Ryan? I don't know what kind of luck brought me here, but I'm grateful for it. I couldn't help but ask, "Liu Ryan, when did you start liking me?" Liu Ryan's voice was a bit muffled. "From the first moment I saw you." I was stunned, staring into his eyes. "So it was love at first sight for you." Liu Ryan held my hand. Back then, I thought, how can someone look so handsome in a suit? If only he was wearing it for me. "Let's take our wedding photos together this time, okay?" My heart stirred, and I couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Didn't we already make an appointment?"